To everyone who celebrated the holiday last week, I hope you had an awesome day with friends and family. So today's video is all about the Megatron build. Now, since I released the Megatron 2.0 video about 8 months ago, I have made small incremental changes to that build. And today I want to share those changes with you guys and get your thoughts on some of the upcoming changes and ideas that I have for the Megatron build. I stated in a previous video that once I get my hands on a 7900 XTX and I have to break the entire build down, that would be a great opportunity to go ahead and make those changes then. So let's jump right into it. Before we start off by talking about the components inside of Megatron, let me give you guys a closer look at the build. All right, let's talk about some of the components inside of Megatron. The case. The case is a Lian Li O11D Dynamic XL in black. The motherboard is a ASUS Crosshair X570. The CPU is a Ryzen 5950X. The GPU is a Ryzen 6800 XT. The CPU block is from EKWB. It is their Velocity series in nickel, and the GPU block is also from EKWB. Radiators. So I have two radiators in the Megatron build. The bottom one is from EKWB. It is their XC 360 millimeter. The top radiator is also 360 millimeters. It is from Hardware Labs. It is their Black Ice Nemesis edition. All right, fans. So the fans that I had inside Megatron 2.0 were 9 Thermaltake Tough Power fans, the black and gray ones. Build quality was really great. They were really silent, running at around 800 to 1000 RPMs. All right, custom cables. So the ones that I were running inside of Megatron 2.0, they did come from a company called Ensource. I did order them in a gunmetal gray color. They did come in paracord, which is a lot softer than say like a mod mesh, and it's a lot easier to work with. Ensource did an excellent job creating these cables, and I couldn't recommend them enough. All right, power supplies. So inside Megatron 2.0, the PSU that I was using was from EVGA 850 watts G3. All right, let's talk about some more water cooling parts. So let's jump back real quick to Megatron version 1. Now, when I first built that, I built that using EKWB's distro plate that had a 3.1 pump on the back of it. Now, I know a lot of people had issues with that pump, including me. I made videos about it in the past. My 3.1 pump had a loud whine noise to it. So I know they came out with another iteration of that distro plate. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it had a 4.1 or a 4.2 pump on the back of it. I could have upgraded to that, but I decided that I was gonna just totally go with EKWB's reflection plate. That's what's in Megatron 2.0, and one of the main reasons for that is because it came with a D5 pump. All right, let's talk about tubes and fittings. So the chrome tubes that I'm using in Megatron 2.0 were the same chrome tubes that I was using in Megatron 1.0. Now, as you could probably see from the B-roll, they do have some nicks on them here and there and some scratches, and that's going to happen because I've taken the build apart and put it back together with, you know, the compression fittings sliding. No matter how careful you are, it is going to happen. So that is something that I'm looking to replace when I talk a little bit about later in the video the upgrades that I want to do to the build. Now, fittings. So all the fittings have changed since Megatron version 1.0. Now in Megatron version 1.0, I was using Bitesky fittings. I was using their extensions as well as their compression fittings. Their compression fittings came in a gunmetal gray color, and the extensions didn't come in a gunmetal gray. They were a different color. I'll have to look that up. So when I switched everything over to Megatron 2.0, I went with EKWB's fittings. That's not to say that there was anything wrong with Byteski's fittings. I absolutely love them. I love their big giant blue O-ring. They worked really, really well. I never had any leaks or anything like that, and I would definitely go back to using them. So, but right now I'm using fittings from EKWB. They all come in their black nickel color. I'm using compression fittings. I'm using their offsets as well as their extensions. All right, I think I covered everything. No, wait, I didn't. The memory. So I am running Team Force DDR4 running at 3600 megahertz. I do have a couple of 1 terabyte Generation 4 NVMe's. I'm trying to think. I think I got everything there. So now let's go ahead and let's talk about what I upgraded since Megatron 2.0. All right, one of the first things that I changed in the Megatron 2.0 build was the custom PC cables. I ended up taking out the ones from N-Source and then ended up going with some from Mod 1. They're more of like a mod mesh. It's a harder plastic, but they're more vibrant. I think they look much better, especially the purple in them, and it gives the whole PC build a little bit more depth. All right, fans. So I did end up replacing all the fans in Megatron 2.0. I took out all the Thermaltake Tough Power fans. I did replace them with Noctua's A12 fans. I think those fans are amazing. Noctua is always at the higher echelon when it comes to PC fans, but it's also the higher echelon of cost as well. I think one of these fans cost about $34, but as you guys can see from the photos here, they look amazing on the radiators. I got them in black. They finally come in a different color other than that brown color that they came in for over a decade, but I think they look excellent. They're really, really quiet. Again, I run these around 800 to 1,000 RPMs, and I could barely hear them, and I have 9 of them in the build. All right, power supplies. So I did end up pulling out EVGA's G3 850 watt, and I did replace it with Be Quiet's Dark Power 12 850 watt. That power supply was a lot more expensive, but I can't hear the fan at all. It's super quiet. It's got a higher efficiency rating, and I think it's a really great power supply. I can't recommend it enough. Again, if you're gonna build a high-end machine and you have the money, you might as well put in the high-end parts. And I think that power supply works out much better than the EVGA 850 watt. And that's not to say that the EVGA 850 watt power supply wasn't doing its job. I just think that the Be Quiet Dark Power 12 was just a little bit better. Now, for any of you guys that watched the Megatron 2.0 video, I did have a small Raspberry Pi screen mounted into the back of the Lian Li case, running a custom sensor panel using AIDA64. Now, it was super cool looking, but very impractical, especially for me on how I have my desktop set up on my desk. You could never really see it, but again, it looked super cool. I ended up taking it out. The screen ended up breaking, so now I just have an intake fan on the back of the Lian Li case. Now, if I was gonna do this again in the future, I would end up getting an external monitor, you know, something that was vertical, maybe like a 10-inch screen. So then I could just have that sitting on my desk and be able to move it where I wanted to and be able to constantly monitor all my hardware. I do run more than one monitor, so usually I have my sensor panel on my other monitor. But, you know, in retrospect, if I was going to put one inside the Lian Li O11D Dynamic XL case, I would have put it on the glass, on the side of the glass panel, probably down on the left-hand side, again, if I was going to put something inside the case. All right, and another thing I forgot to mention, I did end up adding another Commander Pro to the Megatron build, so I didn't have to run all 9 Noctua fans off of one Commander Pro. I know I made a video that it can be done using fan splitters, but I just bought another one, so now all 9 fans are just running off of dual Commander Pros. All right, I think I remembered it all. I probably forgot a few things, but anyway, so what changes do I want to make to the Megatron build? Well, the first thing I want to do is swap out all the chrome tubes. I want to get them right out of there. A lot of them are scratched and they got little dings in them for me taking them in and out, and the compression fitting sliding down them. And no matter how careful I am, it still ends up happening. I feel like kind of like the reflection plate, you look at these things and they get a scratch on them. So I want to replace them, and my thought is I want to use black metal tubes. I really like using metal tubes. I think they look really, really great. I like them over using PETG or acrylic or even glass. I know they make like blue metal tubes, red metal tubes, but I really think the black metal tubes will give the Megatron build some depth. Post down in the comments below and let me know what you guys think of me swapping out the chrome tubes for some black metal tubes. I also think it would be neat to go with EKWB's new reflection plate, which is meant for the Lian Li O11D Dynamic XL case. But for $400, I'm not really sure. Now, it is nice that the inlets are moved over so you don't have to use those, as I stated, as many extensions. And now it's set up to use EKWB's push fittings, which would make it really nice for taking things in and out. But again, spending $400 just for those features, I'm kind of, not really. I think I'm just going to go ahead and stick with the EKWB reflection plate that I have. But I do think I am going to get the cover for the back of the D5 pump. As you can see here, I think it makes it look much cleaner. I figured while I'm at it, I might as well replace the CPU block. Now, I don't have one in mind at the moment. If any of you guys have an idea of what would be a cool looking CPU block to upgrade on Megatron, post down in the comments below and let me know. I do have that Ryzen Black Special Edition that I bought last year. I haven't even used it at all. It's the one that lights up orange that says Ryzen on it. Maybe I'll use that one. I'm not sure. I'm also debating come Cyber Monday of getting a 7950X. And I'm at a conundrum with that. Do I want to put a 7950X inside an X570 motherboard that's got DDR4, and then I don't get the new memory, and then I'm not getting double the bandwidth? Is it even worth it? It might be just one of those things where I want to have that higher boost clock. I might do that depending on what the price is, since I'm breaking everything else down. I really don't want to spend the money on a new motherboard because they're still super expensive. I think it would run me over $500. So I really don't want to go that route yet. I still want to wait a couple years. But the 7950X is still on the table for me, depending the cost. All right, so I think the last change that I'm going to make to the Megatron build is I'm going to replace the top radiator. Now that top radiator is from Hardware Labs. It is their Black Ice Nemesis Edition, 360 millimeters. I wish, kind of thinking about it, when I redid Megatron 2.0, I wish I would have went with another 60 millimeter radiator, just like the one that's in there now on the bottom. Being the Lian Li O11D Dynamic XL case, it's big enough to be able to have a 60 mil rad on the bottom and have a 60 mil rad on the top and still have plenty of space where it doesn't look like everything's just stuffed into the case. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. And that's not to say my temperatures aren't perfectly fine running a slim rad on top and the 60 mil rad on the bottom. The GPU idles around like 26, 27 Celsius, and the 5950X idles around 40 to 45 Celsius, and it doesn't get any higher than 70 Celsius full load. So, my temperatures are really good. I just want to have kind of a different look. So that's probably the last thing I'm going to do. Again, post down in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think about the changes that I want to make, and let me know if you guys have any great ideas of changes that you would make if it was your build, because I would love to hear from you guys. But that's all I got for this video, guys. As always, stay safe, stay healthy. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Take care.